What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another video. So as you probably know, there are an absolute ton of practice maps in Fortnite nowadays. So in today's video, what I decided to do is give you guys 10 of my highest recommended practice maps in Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 3. These maps are going to include mechanical practice maps, aim maps, fighting maps, and all sorts of things basically geared towards helping you improve as quickly as possible in Fortnite. If you go on to enjoy this video and find it helpful, then be sure to drop a like on it, and consider subscribing as well if you're new and want to see more content just like this in the future. And lastly, consider using code TECHO in the Fortnite item shop as it's 100% free and it really helps me out a ton. And lastly, guys, this video is going to be split into 3 sections, which are mechanical maps, aim maps, and fighting maps. So I'll put the timestamps to each section on screen right now if you want to skip to a particular one. I recommend you watch the full video, but it's there just in case. So starting off our creative maps for this video, I want to begin by going over a couple of mechanical maps. These maps are pretty simple. They're essentially geared towards helping you improve specifically your building and editing. And I have a lot of recommendations, but I've managed to narrow them down to 4 different maps. So the first map of this section is going to be a classic, and that's Raiders Peace Control Map V3. At this point in time, most of my consistent viewers are probably getting tired of hearing me ramble about this map every video, but I promote it all the time for pretty good reason. Peace control, aka controlling your fights by utilizing your builds and edits, is an insanely important skill to have in Season 3, and it's pretty hard to get any kills in tournaments and even Champs Arena if you don't at least know the basics of peace control. Raiders map is super simple. It gives you 25 different scenarios to practice this skill, and you can literally just jump into any scenario, grind it out over and over, and learn a variety of peace control moves that pros use pretty much every game. So with that said, guys, I'll go ahead and put the code up to this map right now if you want to write it down or take note of it. I'll also be going over all the codes for each section at the end of each section, so stay tuned for that if you want to just get them all at once. Moving on to our next map though, and this one is going to be mostly a beginner map, but one that can dramatically improve your editing in all sorts of situations if you're struggling. And that map is Flea's Editing Dictionary. This map was made a super long time ago, I think about 2.5 years ago to be precise, but it still reigns as one of the best, if not the best, edit map out there. The map features 4 different sections, including edit downs, edit ups, edit towers, and edit tunnels. And all of these have a variety of different scenarios that carry over into real fights in various ways. And honestly, the whole thing is pretty mindless and really simple to do, which makes it a great option for when you're just trying to chill out for a bit without any of the pressure of more advanced maps or actual matches. So Flea's map is a fantastic option overall, especially for those of you who are a bit less advanced mechanically. So I'll go ahead and put the code up on screen right now to the map. On to our third map for this section though, and this one is going to be another fantastic map for building and editing, and this one is by a creator named Tito. I know his name is really similar to mine, but we're 2 different people, I promise. Specifically, it's called Tito's Realistic Edit and Peace Control Map V4, and much like the past 2 maps we've gone over, Tito's map features a ton of different scenarios, with 4 different sections ranging from beginner peace control to advanced peace control, as well as beginner editing to advanced editing. All these scenarios are specifically designed to carry over into real game situations, and are basically meant to replicate various things that are going to happen to you in actual fights, hence the word realistic in the name. This is another one of those maps that are really well built and easy to grind out for a while, and doing a couple of scenarios on this map, either as a warm-up or as part of your general gameplay, will be really helpful. So with that said, I'll throw the code up on screen right now if you want to check it out. Moving on to our 4th and final map for this section of today's video though, and this one is going to be a tunneling map made by Manu-A12. Honestly, I find that tunneling is actually a really good way to improve your overall mechanical skill, and it's also incredible for competitive for obvious reasons, so that's why I recommend you give this map a shot. As you can see in the background gameplay, all you've got to do is jump into the map, select one of the many tunnel options, and basically just practice tunneling in that style. Manu's map also involves a bit of extra pressure with the bots that are shooting at you, making it a fantastic simulation of something you might see in competitive, and sometimes you'll even get shot down or something quirky like that, so you have to readjust and kind of fix everything. Also, a quick tip I have is to adjust the materials you use depending on your skill level. Wood might not be enough for some of these scenarios because they have a ton of sentry bots, so feel free to switch back to brick or metal if you're still a bit newer to the map. And then later on you can move on to using wood once you're all good with that. With that said, Manu's map is a fantastic option for those of you looking to improve your tunneling and overall building and editing, so I'll go ahead and put the code up on screen right now. Lastly guys, finishing off this section, I'm going to go ahead and put a code to each of the mechanical maps we've discussed on screen in order. On top is Raiders Peace Control Map, below that is Flea's Editing Dictionary, below that is Tito's Realistic Edit and Peace Control Map, and on the bottom is the code to Manu-A12's tunnel map. Moving on to the next section of today's video though, and next up we're going to be talking about aim maps. Now for this section, we're only going to have 2 different maps simply because that's all you really need when it comes to aiming. There are plenty of other good aim maps out there, but I personally think you don't need more than a couple of them to maximize your progress. Getting into our first aim map though, and we've got Raiders 1v1 Aim Trainer. Raiders 1v1 Aim Trainer has been around for a really long time and is essentially the go-to aim duel map in Fortnite, with all sorts of different scenarios ranging from shotguns to ARs to SMGs and more. Raiders map basically has everything you're going to need to improve your short to mid-range aim, with the benefit of being against real players as well. All you've got to do is head into the map either with a friend or jump into the matchmaking portal in the spawn room to get matched with a random player. Then you and your opponent select the same HP, shoot a scenario to start it, and begin shooting at one another. It's all super simple, and the variety of scenarios in this map make it an incredible option for pretty much everyone. So with that said, I'll go ahead and put the code up to Raiders map on screen right now. On to our second and final aim map though, and this one is going to be a single player map that has a variety of all ranges from close range to mid range to even long range. And this map is going to be the classic Skavik Aim Trainer. The Skavik Aim Trainer in Fortnite is basically the OG Aim Trainer. With all sorts of different scenarios from different ranges, the Skavik Aim Trainer is basically the go-to map for any aim that isn't directly inside of a box with another player. The map has an absolute ton of different scenarios, as well as a huge variety of weapons and adjustable distances, so you can target your practice to literally exactly how you want it. Honestly, there's not that much else to say about this map. It's simply one of the best maps out there, and I think pretty much everyone watching should give it a shot. So with that said, I'll put the code up on screen to the Skavik Aim Trainer right now. And with that in mind, if you want to take note of both of the aim map codes, I'll put them both on screen right now. On top is Raiders 1v1 Aim Trainer, and on the bottom is the Skavik Aim Trainer. Both of these are fantastic, and spending around an equal amount of time in both should yield some really good results. Moving on to our last section for today's video though, and next up we've got fighting maps. Fighting maps refer to basically any map that's designed to help you improve your overall fighting skill in Fortnite. I'll be going over 4 different fighting maps that each have different benefits in terms of improvement, so let's get it going. First up in this section, we're going to be going over a classic 1v1 build fight map, which helps with basically everything. Build fights are a fantastic way to improve your building in particular, since they have infinite materials and are mainly focused around outbuilding your opponent rather than beating them in a box fight. And the map that I recommend for this specifically is going to be yet another Raider 464 map, because we definitely haven't had enough of those yet. And that's going to be Raiders 1v1 build fight map. The map is super simple, there's really not that much to talk about. It has minimal input delay, instant build resets, and also has a matchmaking system where you can find completely random players to go against in build fights if you don't have anyone you know online. Overall, there's really not much else to say. It's a super simple map, but it's absolutely fantastic. With that said, I'll put the code up on screen right now to Raiders map. Moving on to our second map for this section though, and if you're trying to improve your peaks, angles, and general box fighting, I'd recommend that you give 1v1 box fights a shot. Box fights are pretty much the antithesis of build fights, since box fights are in an enclosed space and are basically focused on editing and going for peaks instead of building. Obviously, you kind of still have to build in a box fight, but not nearly as much. This carries over extremely well to competitive game modes and pretty much all forms of gameplay, and I recommend using the Clix box fight map by Panvo for these. You can take your pick of which weapons you want to use, whether you want to use the classic pump shotgun and AR, or updated weapons like the Striker. And overall, it's extremely simple but very enjoyable, and it helps with improvement a bunch if you do them a reasonable amount. So with that said, I'll put the code up to this map on screen right now. Moving on to our third map in this section though, and we've got a Zone Wars map, specifically the 32-player Zone Wars map by Droya. This map is pretty much the ultimate Zone Wars map in Fortnite, with updated loot, a very active player base, and overall Zone Wars is really just an incredible option when it comes to fighting under pressure, and it's also fantastic practice for endgames if you're trying to improve in competitive. With 32 people, these Zone Wars can be pretty difficult at times, but I think it'll help you guys a lot to start doing some more of these, so I'll put the code up on screen right now to the map if you want to give it a shot. And finally guys, getting into our last map for the fighting section and the final map of today's video, we're going to be going over Finest Solo FFA Realistic PvP map. This map is extremely simple. You basically drop in with a ton of players, and your goal is to get as many kills as possible to reach 50 points. And you also lose points for dying, and you gain points for assists. You can either run this map in a public lobby with 16 players by going into matchmaking, or you can do it with just like 1 or 2 other players if you're just trying to compete with friends. As well as that, this map features 100% updated loot and is super easy to get into, making it one of the best fighting maps if you're trying to improve as a solo player. So with that said, I'll go ahead and put the code up on screen right now if you want to give Finest PvP map a shot. And finally guys, I'll now go ahead and put up all the codes to the fighting maps. On top is Raiders build fight map, then below that is the Clix box fight map. Below that is Droya's 32-player Zone Wars, and on the bottom is Finest Realistic PvP map. But with all that said guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video on the best creative maps to help you improve in Season 3. If you take note of a couple of your favorite maps from this list and you play them consistently, I have no doubt that you'll be able to improve your mechanical skill, aim, and general fighting ability very quickly. If this video helped you out, then be sure to drop a like on it, and consider subscribing as well if you want to see more content just like this in the future. And if you want to help your boy out a bit extra, then consider using code TECHO in the Fortnite item shop, as it's 100% free and it really helps me out a ton. With all that said though, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.